Nancy Pelosi. She's at COP26 doing a panel, apparently, with at least some U.S. congresspeople. And Abby Martin of Empire Files somehow was called upon. Maybe it was because she was wearing a mask. They didn't realize they weren't going to get a...
That's the benefit.
But Abby asks a very pointed and good question. And watching these lawmakers completely miss the point on purpose is somewhat entertaining, but also sort of disturbing.
Speaker Pelosi, you just presided over a large increase in the Pentagon budget. This Pentagon budget is already massive. The Pentagon is a larger polluter than 140 countries combined. How can we seriously talk about net zero if there is this bipartisan consensus to constantly expand this large contributor to climate change, which is exempt from these conferences? Military is exempt from climate talks.
Well, I just want to use an example if I can. You know, the sea level rise is an important part of, what's happening to the climate. And I am not a defense person, but I've had so many talks with the Defense Department, with the Navy in particular, about how they have to respond to what's going on. So I really do think that there is no reason why what we're putting together, with Build Back Better and other things, can't respond to the Defense Department and have the same impact in terms of reducing emissions. And I do think that the Defense Department is very much aware of the fact that they have to play a major role, both from a strategic as well as, for the good of the world.
Respond to the Defense Department. Did you see how he phrased it there?
Oh yeah, they're talking exclusively about
That's
mitigation.
Malone, by the way.
How can we make the military more adaptable to climate change rather than addressing what the issue is that having a military that gets $7.8 trillion in a 10-year period, or $780 billion.
Framing,
on an annual basis, probably to grow. How can we get them to mitigate the implications of climate change rather than to get them to stop contributing so dramatically to climate change? I mean,
he's saying, how can we mitigate the Pentagon? Because they're going to always grow and it will be static. He's working around her question.
Oh, totally.
Their size is going to be fixed and growing, and I'm going to work around that, as opposed to her exact.
Well, he's actually going further and saying, like, look, there's going to be a lot of challenges to our military. We'll probably have to fund them more because they're going to have to deal with climate change. Like the Navy's going to have to deal with rising seas, and so they're going to need more money for bigger docks.
Which is insane. It's like he didn't hear the question. I mean, of course he did.
He did, yeah.
But
exactly.
or he's never been asked anything remotely, anything that complex, and has never thought to make that connection. But he tries to work around the connection.
Well, watch Nancy Pelosi. He's also going to do the same.
Reducing emissions. And I do think that the Defense Department is very much aware of the fact that they have to play a major role, both from a strategic as well as, for the good of the world. So I don't see what we're doing in any way, or, increasing the defense budget as being something that's inconsistent with climate action. I really don't.
And may I just add that the national security advisors all tell us that the climate crisis is a national security matter. It is, of course, a health matter for our children, the water they drink, the air they breathe, etc. It is a jobs issue between clean technologies being the future of our workforce and the training for all of that. It is a national security issue because of the all of the conditions that climate crisis produces. I won't go into all of them, but they are cause for migration, conflict over habitat and resources, and again, a security challenge globally. And then the fourth, of course, the moral issue that we need to pass on this planet to future generations in a responsible way. Now, recognizing what you said, we recognize that as well. and a big user of fuel. There have been many initiatives over time, more successful with more technology, to convert from fossil fuel to other sources of fuel to run the military, because it would make the biggest difference. Transportation, defense, these are two of the biggest, that can make the biggest difference in all of that, and that is something we're very, very focused on. As I say, the Defense Department sees this systemically, that we have to stop it as a national security issue, and one way to do that is to stop our dependence on fossil fuels, which exacerbate the climate crisis.
Farce.
But that,
This is a farce.
Well,
the Pentagon cannot be mitigated in any real way. All we can do is expand the Pentagon so that they can mitigate their own effects on the climate.
So we can green them.
They can fight. They can fight back against all of the other way that they're contributing to climate change. Like the U.S. government. One, she's like portraying the Pentagon and our defense as like so separate from our national climate response that they just, we'll work with them. No. They're a part of the government. You have control over their funding.
We've got to ask them first how they feel about it. I mean, it's fascinating because she spends the bulk of her response is that, yes, climate change is really bad. And in fact, it's so bad that we need an expanded military to deal with it. Now, with that said, we're going to work hard on trying to make our tanks electric vehicles. And that's basically what she said.
The military recognizes it as a national security threat. Like, does it recognize it as a national security threat that they are one of the main agents in exacerbating?
Yeah.
Exactly. It really is amazing.
You know
it really is amazing.
when Greta Thunberg talked about how Thunberg, I don't know. Shit. Blah blah blah. That was blah blah blah.
Oh my God.
That was what was she even saying? I mean, I wish Abby was able to get the follow-up. That's not how those things work. But, I mean, nonsense.
She just ignore. I mean, at least Pelosi acknowledged at the end of the question, like, I am addressing what you're saying, and we're going to try and do our best to make sure that they're using electric vehicles when they kill people. And, that is how she addressed it. I mean, it's sort of fascinating, but, and just horrible.